Good afternoon, Philippines. Magandang hapon. Ako po si Revilson Fernandez, your proud WWF Philippines National Ambassador. And of course, welcome to the 8th episode of Panda Talks. Woo! Congratulations to WWF in advance for getting to number 8. Such a great number. Now, Panda Talks is WWF Philippines' free live streaming educational series which aims to inform people about the work being done by the organization, as well as to help equip its audience with knowledge when it comes to conservation issues. This is very much needed. Now, did you guys know that September is International Coastal Cleanup Month? Yes, of course, unfortunately, we can't go to the beaches right now, but the beaches and the coast is in our mind, and we shall clean them as soon as possible. But that's why for today's episode, we teamed up with Project Iwasto, a 2-year project under the I'm for Manila Bay program funded by DOST Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, which aims to develop integrated solid waste information and technology management system for select cities which form Bay watershed. 10 absolutely magnificent questions that I can't wait to get at from Pinoy social media. So thank you in advance for turning them in about plastics and plastic solution and plastic pollution. Now, with single-use plastics among the biggest pollutants found in our oceans, of course, we know that today it numbers around 8 million tons of plastic packaging that is winding up in the oceans every year. Ito ang pinaka perfect time. I like what you did there. Perfect time to talk about plastic pollution. All right, now we have a talented panel today. I can't wait to introduce and get them to you. In fact, before I introduce you to our speakers, how about a quick location check to see who is tuning in? Where are you guys right now? That is my favorite thing to do is, location check. Where are you guys tuning in to us from? Farthest person gets a prize. I promise. I'll send you something. So let me know who's it. Of course, Vismin, sana you're in town. Mindanao, sana you're there. Visayas region, hopefully you're there. Of course, the beautiful big island of Luzon. Chime in and cities as well. I want to know what city is out there. I saw Pasig City. Welcome, Pasig City. You guys are doing a wonderful job during the pandemic, by the way. Fantastic. Yeah, so chime in. Oh, and well, we would love to hear your questions. If you have additional ones, if we haven't touched upon something you want to talk about or expound, we also want to hear your comments. You know, any comment is welcome. All comments are welcome. Bulacan in the house. What's up, Bulacan? All my plants are from there. Love you, Bulacan. So yes, so for our wonderful listeners out there, please chime in with your comments and questions. You know what? The dumbest question is the one that's not asked. Marikina, I see you. Don't worry. I see you, Marikina, in the house. Beautiful place. You guys are also doing a wonderful job with your city. Caloocan, welcome. Welcome. I love that Luzon and Metro Manila is in the house because this is very important for you guys in particular, for us. Kasi we produce the most garbage, so we need to figure out how we can coexist with it and solve our plastic pollution issues. All right, so again, with that being said, maraming salamat po for joining us today. Let's get to it. I'm pretty sure everyone is excited, so let's start today's learning session. Yes, how about a thumbs up in the comment section? Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome WWF Philippines' national lead for the No Plastics in Nature initiative and project manager for Plastic Smart Cities. How about a big internet welcome to Miss Sarina Constantino. Yay!
Hello! Good afternoon. Very looking forward to this conversation. Magandang hapon.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sarina. You're so matchy today with the lavender palette. I love it. And doing all the heavy lifting today because she is gonna drop some serious science on us. Director and professor from the UP Institute of Civil Engineering. Please A warm WWF Philippines welcome to Dr. Tonette Tanchuling. Hello, Dr. Tonette.
Hello, magandang hapon. Salamat WWF for inviting me.
Thank you so much to both of you for being here. Now,
Yes.
Sharina and Dr. Tonette, I'm sure our viewers are excited to learn. All right, but before we start, reminding everyone that later we will be having a Q&A session. So if any point you find yourselves asking some very important questions, comment them in the section below. We have our WWF team taking notes and monitoring and writing down all the questions. So we can't wait to hear from you. Public forum, we got to hear from you. Let's get the ball rolling, shall we? All right, starting off with question number 1. How about Serena? Let's start with you. What is plastic and how residual waste?
Okay, I think this question roots from people saying, okay, yung lahat ng plastic, it's also residual waste. So there's been some confusion on that. So let's first start on what is really plastic. So plastic, this is actually a polymer. And then this polymer, ibig sabihin ng polymer, repeating units or maraming monomer na magkakasama-sama. And actually, this is a chemical structure that makes it, as the claims na useful siya, because it can be molded and okay, sorry, my bad. Okay, so it can be molded. And then for this one is kasi si plastic, it was actually invented in 1869 by John Hyatt, wherein initially ang plano talaga niya is to create a substitute for ivory because at that time sobrang sikat or nagigay ng popularity yung billiards, and so what he wanted is to stop the killing of the wild elephants for the ivory so that they can produce the things they need for billiards. So, sobrang ganda talaga nung pagkakagawa ng plastic initially. And then, it's purely man-made, and 99% of plastics is actually from synthetic polymers, and it's actually comes from petrochemicals. So, discussing about plastics is also related to the climate change issue. So, medyo matinding usapan talaga ang plastics. And then regarding sa confusion about sa plastics, is it also residual waste? Kasi I think we are asked to do different segregation bins. So we have biodegradable, we have residuals, we have recyclables, and also the special waste. So let us not confuse to put all the plastics in the residuals. So kasi meron ding mga recyclables, or ito yung mamaya i-discuss natin to later, yung mga high value plastics. Kasi ito yung this mga recyclables, meron din mga type ng plastics which we can recycle, and there are also yung mga residual. So ito naman yung mga residual waste, yan, nakikita na natin mostly dito mga plastics. And then upon discussing with Dr. Net, yung residuals pala, there are also may tinatawag din ng mga residuals with potential and then residuals without potential. So meron pa siyang pag-judge ng potential ng isang residual waste. So for those that are identified as potential, kunwari rubber, textile, what usually we can do with that is we can bring it to the city materials recovery facility for diverting it. And for those na without potential, usually ito yung mga soiled plastics, soiled paper, ito yung dinadala na natin directly to the landfill. So hopefully I answered question number 1. Naku, unmute lang si Rov.
Hello there. I'm going to continue talking because, okay, forgive me.
Yeah.
It's just, I find it absolutely mind-boggling that plastics had the bestest and greatest of intentions, and that's why it was created, yet it's now completely flipped and become the opposite. It's just Yeah, so unfortunate, no?
Yes. Before, the intention is really to reduce like the consumption of the natural resources. And kaso nga lang,
Yes.
it got out of hand. And so,
Yes.
ito na, naging malaking environmental issue na siya, Ro.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you for that fun fact. Now, and of course, how it differs from residual waste as well.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Tanet, you're up to bat. How are
Yes.
you?
Good, thank you.
Excellent.
Kinakabahan. Kinakabahan, parang parang exam. So
Parang, ano po?
exam. Exam.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Testing so many of us for years. But I know you're going to pass with flying colors. Let me ask, how many plastic types are there, Paul?
Yeah, our plastics have been classified into 7 by the plastics industry. That's also to help us guide us when we're trying to recycle, and also the recycling industry itself, so that they are because we need to separate the types of plastic. So there are 6. The first 6 are different types of plastic. So let's start with 1 is poly PET. We call it the PET bottle. So maybe the most common ones are the soda bottles. And then we have high density polyethylene. So these are the harder, the thicker plastics which can be used, let's say, for shampoo bottles, detergent, juice bottles. Then PVC are used for construction mostly, for plumbing, for pipes. And then we have low density polyethylene. So these are the film plastics, the lighter ones. These are the lighter ones. And then we have polypropylene, what we used for yogurt containers, the clear ones when we're taking out food, the ones that were used by fast food restaurants before, because now I see a lot of fast food
Yes.
chains shifting also to reusable utensils. And then number 6 is polystyrene. So you can see it. Styrofoam is a brand name actually of polystyrene. And then all the rest, all the other types of plastics are labeled as 7. So be conscious when we're purchasing something or we're using something. You can see these signs at the bottom of the packaging. Actually, properly labeling our plastics is also a big effort towards recycling, because not all products, not all packaging, we're not very strict, at least in the Philippines, about labeling. But in other countries, it's very strict. Yes.
Yes.
Fan-
If I can add on to that, Rob, I think Dr.
Please.
mentioned about like yung paghanap nung signs or yung signs, labels. So actually, I have this a takeout container. Hope you can see this. So there's actually a number, yung triangle din. So itong mga ginagamit natin usually for takeout containers, it's actually number 5. Yan, so PP, polypropylene. But there are some like containers, as what Dr. Net mentioned, na walang labels. So that's actually, I actually support what Dr. Net mentioned, that there's a need for us to really label the plastic so that we would also understand where to put in this types of plastic. So yeah.
Fascinating. Wow. Okay, well, Serena, since you have the microphone already, continue holding it. I'm going to ask you, are all plastics recyclable? And of course, the follow-up to that is, how do we recycle each plastic type?
Yes. Parang dalawa lagi tanong dun pag turn ko na. Kidding, kidding. Okay. So are all plastics recyclable? I just noticed right now. Okay. So are all plastics recyclable? Actually, technically speaking, all plastic types are recyclable. But parang ang struggle lang usually is the technicalities and sometimes the logistics that make it very difficult to do it. So I'll show you like this table wherein all of the different types of plastics are presented. So you can see that in terms of recyclability, so number 1 and number 2 are commonly recycled. But as you go down this table, you'll see that for PET, the toxicity level is actually very high. This is ito nga rin yung sinasabi natin na kapag uminom ka ng water sa PET, um, wag mo na siyang i-refill kasi because of the toxicity level of that particular plastic type. And then for HDPE, this is actually one of the high value plastics together with PET. And as you can see, the toxicity level is low. As we go to the to the other types of plastics, for PVC, if you see it, it's sometimes recycled. And in terms of decomposition, it do not decompose kahit sobrang perfect na ng conditions. And then the toxicity level is also very high. So usually what we wanted for PVC is to be designed out of the different products kasi ang hirap nga niya talagang i-recycle. So maybe the technicalities are there. Also yung for LDPE or number 4, so it's sometimes recycled. And then for this goes pareho din siya with with PVC. For with number 5, it's occasionally recycled, and also like the toxicity level is also very low. For PS or polystyrene, it is commonly recycled. Pero dito nga pumapasok ulit yung technicalities in recycling it. Kasi may nakalagay doon, but it's very difficult to do so. So, and that toxicity level is also very high. So these are the types of plastics that if we can get away, if we can design out of our products, it would be really, it would be very contributory in like facilitating a better waste management or like the recycling process of these plastics. And for the 7th one, it's difficult, basically it's difficult to recycle. So in short, wala nag-recycle nun. And then later on, maybe we'll feature some other plastics. Dito papasok yung mga sanitary napkins, yung mga diapers, and then also the toxicity level, it's also very high. So ito yung mga dapat i-watch out for natin. Yung number 7, of course yung number 6, yung number 3. So and yan yung mga, and then number 1 kasi ito yung mga matataas din yung toxicity level. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so flabbergasted at just the amount of different types of plastic. It's unbelievable, and the classifications. Thank you, Serena. Now, quickly, I hope I'm going to challenge you. Which of these types is the most abundant in the Philippines from a mass, not from a number, not from quantity, but from just mass, a weight?
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, go talk, Daniel.
Sorry, May.
Yeah, or Dr. Tanet as well, if you can answer this as well, please.
Yeah. So first, maybe we have to look at the uses of plastics. So on a global scale, and I'm sure that's also the same with the Philippines. So because plastics has different uses, and starting from transportation, electronics, consumer goods, and packaging. But of all these uses, it's the plastic packaging that we have so much of. More than a third of all the plastics are produced for packaging, and most of them
40%. Sorry. Just want to put a number in that. About 40% are actually used for packaging. So go ahead.
Wow.
Yeah, and so most of these are single-use plastics, and
right.
So in the Philippines, what are being recycled, meaning being collected by junk shops, and then we have recyclers for them, are PET, and it's only the clear PET bottles. So because putting color makes the recycling more complex, more complicated, so it's better to have so it's only the clear PET bottles, the hard HDPE, the rigid HDPE, and PP. So that's 1, 2, and 5. So we have problems with number 4, LDPE. As I've said, these are the single-use carrier bags, what we use for the very thin ones, the film plastics. Ito rin yung marami sa basura because definitely no one is getting them. As Zarina said, it's because usually they're contaminated. We use them for food. So huhugasan pa. That's why it's very low value. No one is getting them. I hope I answered your question in terms of abundance. So in terms of production, I know on a global scale, it's PVC, PP, and polyethylene are the
And what are
most.
and what are examples of that type?
Okay. PVC, of
Tupperware,
course.
bottles. Yeah, go ahead.
PVC are used for construction.
Mm,
PP is for the like food containers,
okay.
the clear ones, and
Yes.
polyethylene. Yeah, it can be low density. So these are the grocery bags, shopping bags, or if they're
Yeah.
the rigid ones, these are the shampoo
Mm,
bottles. But it's really more
mm,
the single use ones.
yes.
That's why we have a
Okay.
lot of LDPE. Yeah. So
Excellent.
may I add?
Yeah, no,
May I
please.
add that plastic, we were happy when plastic was first invented. It was able to address a lot of challenges like food preservation. No, it keeps the moisture out, it keeps the gas out. So then the shelf life of food becomes longer. And because
Mm,
of that, it also
yeah.
does it again. It stays forever. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
uh, what was supposed
If
to be the solution is also now a problem.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that's just so ironic and uncanny.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm.
Sana, we just stuck to the old ways of preservation of food with just salt, like in the biblical times, I believe. But you
Yeah.
know what? I'd love to talk about my favorite subject, Dr. Tanet and Serena. And you already opened the conversation, Doctor, by
Mm-hmm.
saying shampoo. That's another thing I think we
Oh.
have to touch upon, the sachet
Oh
lifestyle.
yes, yes, yes,
Especially
the
us
sachet.
Pinoys, we are
Mm-hmm.
that's the lifestyle we're used to. So tell me, how does the sachets add up, and what part of does it constitute in the whole spectrum of plastic pollution in the Philippines, po?
Oh yeah, a lot, a lot. No,
Yeah.
sachets are single-use plastic. So in all the surveys that we make in disposal sites, in the beaches, in the rivers, you see a lot of sachets because it's also not collected. It's usually made up of different materials. So when you have different resins in one packaging, it's so difficult to recycle, and most of it is also LDPE, the low density polyethylene. So it's
Mm,
it's really a problem, but it's also a problem of that's why we need to look for alternatives for sachets. Like we also have to think about why do people uh, have to use sachets. By the way, it's only in the developing countries that sachets are very popular because that's what people can afford. So if we really want to address the problem in a holistic way, we also have to answer the questions: what's keeping people poor, and why can't they afford to
mm,
buy products in bulk? Yeah. So maybe
yeah.
when we talk about alternatives, it doesn't really have to be just the material itself, but maybe we
Hmm.
have to find another way of selling, like, or people coming together, buying things in bulk, and then among themselves distribute them in smaller sizes in reusable containers. Yeah. So
Yes.
I would say sachet is a very serious problem.
Yes, and I think
Yes.
that's where innovations are needed. And I
Mm,
actually know of Wala Usik store. It's actually in Negros. They piloted like this plastic free sari store. And I think it's something that we need to explore on how can we replicate it in all the other cities. And also other solutions, I think a lot of businesses right now are exploring, of course, refilling. But at the end of the day,
hmm.
we also need corporations needs also to evaluate the packaging and reduce or eliminate the unnecessary plastics that stop it or that hinder it from being recycled. So ngayon kasi parang I think the direction is for these sachets to not just be like be multi-layered, but can be made of monomaterial, kasi pag isa lang yung type ng plastics, it would really help in terms of recycling this. So yun.
Sorry, may I add? Sorry. So what makes it also very complicated is that because sachet is so easy to dispense, so it's also dispersed all over the country. So it's difficult to collect them and consolidate them into a volume that makes recycling viable. So that's what makes it difficult. So what Zarina mentioned as an alternative is good, when you have these centers getting back to these sachets.
Excellent, excellent contributions, ladies. Thank you. Yes, to refills, I think that's something we should really touch upon. And I'm not an economics professor, but I would like to think that the math works in the favor of buying in bulk. You do save a little more in the long run. So, I mean, I'm just going to lay that out there. Of course, everyone has their own abilities to pay at that time and space, but in the long run, buying in bulk saves over time. So with that being said, let's move on, because I really want to get to this next question. And this is it right here. Can we really live in a plastic-free world? Please say yes, Dr. Tanet. Tell me how.
There's Arena. I have two questions, but can we really live in a plastic-free world? Well, as I have shared about the uses of plastics, we have so many uses of plastics, and many of them we need, like for example, for medical uses. When you go to a hospital, you need a syringe, you have sutures, which are already made of plastics. Lots of gadgets are made of plastic. So I don't think we can live in a plastic-free world, and we don't have to in the immediate, but there are things that we can eliminate or we can have less of, like packaging. So maybe we can focus first on packaging, because these are the materials that we can have alternatives for, and we have so much of. So maybe not completely, but there are some that we can eliminate, as we have mentioned how we think of alternatives for them, making them, because of all the plastics, is also of course the single-use ones have very short lifespan. So it doesn't make sense to produce so much, which you use sometimes for less than 1 hour, right? Just to carry your grocery from your groceries from the store to your house.
Heartbreaking. We as a society that prides itself on our technological advances, we have to solve that. Absolutely. Now, we all know that plastic is bad for the planet, but what are the ingredients specifically that make it evil?
I think may I give the floor to Za?
Absolutely.
May pagpasa.
It's a pack.
Okay. So for me, I think we have to recognize that plastics has benefits to us. Like what, for example, originally it was meant to provide a substitute to stop like the killing of wild elephants. So for WWF, what we wanted to push for is to eliminate the unnecessary plastics. So if we work with the different stakeholders for us to really identify if this plastic is really necessary to for your product integrity. Kasi if it's not, then let's eliminate it so that we reduce the amount of plastic that we generate or we consume. And so after that, after we reduce or eliminate the unnecessary plastics, for those that we identify as the necessary plastics, then I think these are the types of plastics that we try to look for. We try to source responsibly, and we try to manage and wherein it would include like recovery and also the recycling and the management, just so we ensure that no plastics gets into nature. So for me, it's a question of not really identifying what makes it evil, but at the end of the day, it's really for us to identify what are the plastics that we should not be really living with, and baka wag masyadong evil, baka something that we can live without na lang. So, and that is,
Mm.
yun yung mas i-focus natin. Living, parang, cutting out the unnecessary plastics and then trying to shift out to sustainably source plastics and also to work on the waste management for it. So, yeah. Sana
Well
nasagot
said.
ko.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Now, I'd like to break it down because I'm sure some of our viewers out there are interested in the science part of it. But would you guys know specifically what ingredients make plastic evil, as I mentioned earlier?
Is it me? So maybe Za, it's good to show. Is the question for me?
Oh,
Or Za,
anybody who would like to take
Za,
it.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. Can we show the? There was a previous slide where Za was showing the toxicity of the different
Mm,
previous slide. So one of
okay.
them is, yeah. So here we can see the different uh, toxicity, the contents of the plastic, which make it not good for our health. So one that is coming out now are like the BPAs in our water bottles. Uh, we also have compounds which are uh, endocrine disrupting compounds, meaning it messes up with our hormones. So those are
Ooh,
what the scientists are seeing now. So those are the toxic compounds within the plastic. But there's also a problem with microplastics when the plastics are indiscriminately just disposed of. Well, even if it's not indiscriminate, anyway, the plastics would fragment and would become very, very small. So when they're in the oceans, for example, they can be ingested by marine organisms because they mistake it for food. Well, the bigger plastics they mistake for like a jellyfish. So there's one good movie I'd like to advertise, or you can watch. It's called Plastic Ocean. So you can see all the graphic details of all the animals ingesting the plastic. So this is what makes it very bad, very bad. Eventually, it will end up in the food chain, and for we haven't seen the extent of the impact to humans. Except for now, we know that you see whales getting choked, smaller animals with this microplastic. So it's an
Yeah.
emerging contaminant.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, and just to add
Yeah.
on to that, I think these are the most commonly leached toxins per plastic resin. These are actually the harmful chemicals that if, for example, a certain type of plastics reaches like a nearby, like a coral reefs, then it would affect or harness the coral degradation. It would also have impact, say, for example, for the soil productivity. So yun yung mga kailangan din nating i-watch out. So itong maraming toxins, especially those labeled as yung very high yung toxicity level.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your contributions regarding that. Now, as host, I'm going to have to do a quick time check. We're at 45 minutes in. Time
Okay.
flies when you're having fun, no? So we are at question number 5. We're just halfway through. Plus, what's most
Yeah.
important is I'd like to get to the Q&A of our loyal listeners and viewers later on. So let's just try to kind of medyo rush through these. But what are the impacts of plastic pollution? Of course, in relation to it being in our oceans, that's the one that we'd like to know. And of course, how it relates to food and water. Please, Serena, if you'd like to take this, go
So
ahead.
in our thank you, Rob. So in our previous Panda Talks, we've been talking about food, water, climate change. So plastic pollution is actually a serious challenge. So it has a lot of impacts from the environmental perspective, social, and also economic. So actually, about now is about there are about 270 animal species that have been entangled in plastics, and then about 240 animal species that have already ingested plastics. And if you go back to the food chain, it will all come back to us kasi we eat this some of the marine species, say for examples, and minsan 'di ba yung mga isda pag dinadissect natin, some communities would even tell us that there are already some plastics inside the fish that they catch from our sea. And then there's actually a study by WWF wherein we saw that with all the different studies available, we saw that humans are actually ingesting 5 grams of plastics every week. So parang kumakain tayo ng isang credit card kada linggo. So yum yum yum, I guess. So for the economics, so of course with all the impacts sa ating corals and all our ecosystems. So this impacts naman of course dun sa mga industries that depend on it, like maritime trade and also tourism. So yun. So malaking problema
Yeah.
talaga.
Malaking problema that we're already literally ingesting. A credit card a day is what we are already ingesting. Let that sink in, folks. That was question number 5. Thank you, Serena. On to number 6. Dr. Tanet, are biodegradable plastics true? Please say that can happen, please.
Okay, the term biodegradable itself can be misleading. Yes, it can degrade, but we don't know for how long. It can be also hundreds of years. It can be years. So that can still be considered biodegradable. So yeah, if the question is simply is it really biodegradable? Yes, it can degrade, but we don't know for how long. Then you have other complications. One is that we don't like people having the mistaken notion that, okay, it's biodegradable, I can just throw it anywhere. It doesn't solve the plastic waste pollution problem, having biodegradable plastics. It would still end up, especially the campaign of WWF is no plastics in nature. It should be something that can be brought back to the cycle. It's not something to be thrown out. So yeah, so if simply just to answer that, yes, but there are other issues also, like if it gets mixed up with the plastics that are really meant for recycling, then the recycling process can be will not be as efficient there. So it creates that false mentality that, okay, it's okay to consume more anyway, it's biodegradable. It's not. And yeah, so that's the
Yes.
It's such.
And Rob, if
Serena,
I
would you like
may
to add?
add, yes,
Yes,
if I may
please.
add, right now there's a big craze of oxo-degradable plastics. I think some LGUs are even promoting oxo-degradable plastics, which is very alarming kasi these types of plastics, they would usually just degrade into microplastics. So nagiging microplastics siya na medyo mas malaki talaga siyang problem. So we highly meron pa ba super discourage the promotion or the use of such type of plastic. So, yeah.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought up microplastics, because that is the new scourge that we are dealing with, and we have to address it because it's already affecting us. It's already in our system, and of course, needless to say, as you know, Dr. Tanet said, will plastic biodegrade eventually? Yeah, it will, but microplastics will also have its own microplastics, diba? Whatever that new term will be. So anyway, we can go on with that, but I'd like to get to this next question because I've been eyeing this. Serena, how is the pandemic, yes, the good old pandemic, affected everybody? How has it affected the plastic generation and consumption?
So 2 things. So the first one, of course, there's an increase on the consumption of like face masks, face shields, PPEs, and then of course for the protection of our frontliners, we wouldn't want to say na, oh, don't use those types of plastics, because of course at the end of the day we want to protect them, and plastics is all about like plastics can, as we said, there are benefits to it. So if it's meant to protect someone from getting the virus, COVID-19, and then let's have them use it for their protection. If it's good for like food safety, then I think plastics, and there are no other sustainable source or alternatives to put in that particular food, then plastics can be used for that particular reason. For the pandemic, I think it boils down dun sa let's still not forget about our zero waste habits. So ito yung lagi kong pinopromote with the different NGOs that the WWF is partnered with. If we are like going to a public place wherein there's enough ventilation, hindi ka na pupunta sa ospital, maybe let us consider like using cloth mask. There are a lot of cloth masks already available. And I think we should consider using it kasi let's reduce or contribute in reducing the number of face masks that is already being generated. And if I may say the anecdotal account from Dr. Net's team is that with their partner in the Pasig River area, specifically Baseco area, there are some anecdotal accounts wherein indiscriminately disposed, I would use yung sinabi ni Dr. Ed kanina, ng mga face masks, they're actually collecting about 10 to 20 face masks a day in that particular area. So ito yung mga hindi talaga na isama or dun sa disposal or basta-basta na lang tinapon kung saan-saan. And this is very alarming. The second one, I think it's more on the 99, 88, 1010. Yan, palapit na naman ng 1010. So it's more on the deliveries. And of course, take-out deliveries. So there's a big generation talaga for of plastics with that. Actually, there's no I haven't gotten any data yet for the Philippines, but actually in Singapore during their 8-week na lockdown, they were able to generate about 1,400 tons of plastics just from the takeout deliveries. So ganun kadami yung na-generate just for 8 days. So imagine yung gravity nung nangyari with the plastic. So I think it's saying that we should not forget our zero waste habits. If there are opportunities that we can reduce the plastics, maybe from a business perspective, yung mga fillers, if we can remove like the bubble wraps in our deliveries, and or kung merong other ways to provide reusable plastics, then we should really consider that starting like yesterday. So yeah.
Starting, yes, 2 days ago. And wonderful, wonderful. And I'm sure you both can attest to we'd like to also challenge our industrial engineers and our inventors and our scientists uh, uh, to have packaging technology improved as well. You know, come up with some items that made from abaca or made from bamboo. If we can just have that again challenging our scientists to make better packaging. I think that's also something we should encourage. All right. My goodness, I want to stay on that, but because the pandemic is something that is affecting everybody. We are not safe, but and we're all affected. And Doctor, would you like to add anything regarding the pandemic?
Yes, I think policy-wise, there's also a setback to all the ordinances or the bans on the use of plastic bags in groceries, and this is on a global scale because of the need to be able to dispose the containers. Then the plastic bags were allowed again, because that's to minimize the risk of infection. So that's another, I would say, that's another impact that affected the amount of plastics that are generated and consumed.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Tanet, yes. $1 million question. What are the solutions to these problems out there?
Oh, okay. Like a beauty queen.
Yes.
It's a question for Miss Earth. Okay. I would say that improving the solid waste management infrastructure itself will be a big improvement for plastic waste management. Like in our study, we saw that there's only 40% collection efficiency in the entire Philippines on a national scale. So that's 60% of your wastes not being collected, and much of it would have plastics. And so what happens, we saw that there's also like 35% of our plastics are just being leaked to the environment. So if we just improve that, we start with a collection efficiency, you have infrastructure for the material recovery facilities where you have sorting to get the valuable materials, send them to consolidators. So those are, we can we can improve our plastic pollution in that way. And also, as you, I think you already mentioned, also we need to think of alternative materials, technologies to utilize our wastes, our plastics, especially, and supporting all of this, the technologies and even policies that we want to pass are, we need to have data and research. They should be backed up by good evidence. So I think these are ways we can solve the problem.
Yes, if
And
I
of
may
course,
add
yeah.
to that, go ahead. Sorry, Dr. for
No, no, I was going to introduce you. I was going to say maybe ZA and the civil society would have
okay,
a
okay.
big contribution.
Okay, just to let the viewers, well, parang nagba-vlog, know what are the solutions that are being pushed by the different stakeholders. Actually, the national government right now is drafting the national plan of action on marine litter. So they'll be launching it, I think, anytime soon now. And then also the national government are also very active in terms of supporting the global treaty on marine plastic pollution. So that is something that we should be like thankful for, and we should really strengthen in the coming months, especially with the UNEA coming up. Other solutions, of course, the corporations are also like committing goals, and this is something that we would like to follow up also. And I think the viewers, and I think there was a question going through the list before, is that what can we do to encourage our LGUs? What can we do to encourage our the local businesses to do something? I think we need to really understand, like, we have a voice in this one, and then maybe we can write to our leaders, we can write to the local businesses, something that I've learned in one of the trainings I've attended before, and we should write them and make them accountable for the different for the environmental issues such as plastic pollution. So yeah.
Excellent. You covered exactly who we needed to hear if they're doing something, and that of course is the government, our LGUs, and the local sector, and of course the entrepreneurs and the business people. So well done, ladies. Thank you. Now, what are the available alternatives though for single-use plastic?
Before I answer, I think that is my question. Before I answer that, I would just like
Serena.
also to plug in, like, if there are any solutions out there, like for example, these are some of the incubies that we are developing in the Plastic Smart Cities incubation program. So if there are any solution that you want your cities or municipalities to see, or like there, because we have a platform, the Plastic Smart Cities platform, so there are a lot of solutions out there that we can push for adoption to our cities or municipalities. And if you have something of a solution, then you can put in or suggest it to this particular platform, so that it can be seen by all the other cities, not just in the Philippines, but in all the other areas in the world. And to answer your question, Rob, so what are the available alternatives for single-use
Galing mo,
plastics?
Serena. Galing mo.
I actually know what to the best alternatives for single-use plastics, of course, are the reusables. So that's, for me, I want to challenge everyone that when we see when we see single-use plastic, let's design it out of our minds. Let us try to eliminate these unnecessary plastics, and let's buy something reusable. So nandiyan yung eco bag, our tumbler, and the different types of straws. So may metal, may bamboo. But for those businesses, I understand that of course, lalo na kayo pag-take out, ano ba yung magandang alternatives. So there are a lot of alternatives out there that are already available. So merong from sugarcane bagas, there are also from ano pa ba, may mga starch based pa. So I think at the end of the day, what we still have to understand is to know the environmental impact of that particular alternative. So we actually have, promote na ako. We actually have the alternative materials tool already up. So businesses can go to it, like hotels, restaurants, and of course cafes can go to it and use this tool to evaluate ano ba yung alternative of the least environmental impact. And if you go actually to this tool, there are no like alternatives for straws, for like cups, because these are the types of plastics that we would want to challenge the businesses to design out or to eliminate in their supply chain. And of course, something that we need to understand when we buy reusables. So pag reusables po, let us reuse it. So let's not just buy eco bag whenever we go to the supermarket and then buy again the next time. So let us practice reusing it. Kaya siya reusables. Kasi as I mentioned about environmental impact. So for example, there are a lot of LGUs right now shifting to paper bags. Pero if you really compute like the environmental impact, actually the paper bag, especially if it's not made from a recycled paper, it has more environmental impact as compared to one plastic bag. And then actually merong study na kailangan mong gamitin yung paper bag at least 3 times para ma-equate mo yung environmental impact na isang plastic bag. And then of course, there are a lot of trends right now. On eco bag. So usually gawa yan sa cotton. So actually yung cotton bag mo, kailangan mo siyang gamitin at least 131 times according to one study. Hindi lang pala 100 times, pero 131 times for you to equate like, para mag-equate siya sa environmental impact ng plastic bag. So for alternatives sa single-use plastic, syempre it's definitely the reusables, but at the end of the day, we have to reuse them. So yun.
Oh, staggering numbers, Serena. Wow, I did not know that. Dr.
Yeah.
Tanet, anything would you like to add? The question was, what are the available alternatives to single-use plastic? Or individual actions as well?
Yeah, so just jumping off from what was explaining, what Zarina was explaining, that maybe the first line of action should be consuming less. No, as I was explaining about the biodegradable plastic, the fact that there's an alternative to plastics doesn't give us the right or to just keep on consuming that material. For example, we always have to ask ourselves, do I really need that thing? Like, do I really need a straw? Or, right, so even if there's metal straw, there's bamboo straw. If you can help it, maybe, actually I've been doing a survey, why do people use straw? And some ladies say it's so that to protect the lipstick. So yeah, so maybe we should invent a cup where the lipstick is written. Anyway, yeah. So another thing I was thinking of where we can maybe for the campaign of WWF, or maybe you already have this. I think we can make a significant change with the tourism industry, although now it's not so robust. Of course, we have problems, but if you look at the stuff that are offered by hotels, do you really need that slippers? Do you really need to open that packet of slippers and use it for one night? Do you really need a disposable toothbrush? No? So those simple things are what we can do on a personal level. Yeah, I think we can do a lot of things. No, they may seem little, but added up, it will add up to a lot. For example, going back to sachets, your favorite topic, shampoo. No? It's always better to have shampoo in hotels rather than give them in sachets where they have refillable shampoo. No? They have the container where you just squeeze it and there goes your shampoo.
Yeah, excellent. I'm so glad you brought that up because you know, we here at WWF and all the NGOs, we always rely on science and the numbers to get us through. But I'm so glad you touched upon just being mindful, you know, having a soul and just caring about the environment in general. And I like that you know, in a way brought that up as well. You know, just be more mindful of your, you know, impact. So starting to lose my earphones. I'm going to switch to regular speaker. So we have time check at 5:55. Ladies, we are down to our last question really quickly. What projects are you currently working on? Dr. Tonette, would you like to take this one first? And I'm particularly interested in Iwasto.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. So Iwasto, as you have said in the introduction, it stands for Integrated Waste Analysis Survey and Technological Options. So it's a project. It's a 2-year project funded by the OST, and it's to address the problem of Manila Bay. No? It's for the rehabilitation of Manila Bay. So we're one of the projects under a bigger program, which we call I Am for Manila Bay. So for our project, because we recognize that solid waste is one of the major pollutants of Manila Bay, so that's what we want to address through a systematic collection of all the information that is there, and then finding appropriate technologies that can be used by communities on a smaller scale. And so we want to address 2 types of waste: the biodegradable waste. As by the way, aside from plastic waste, we have problems with biodegradable waste like kitchen waste, food waste. So we want to put up a technology in, you know, a working technology, and another technology for plastic. So we want to place that, to locate that in communities there. So hopefully, because that's how we want to address the problem, by solving it upstream, like, but rather to be utilized. Yep, that's it.
Wonderful. Project Iwasto, Integrated Waste Analysis. Iwasto, Integrated Waste Analysis Survey and Technological Options.
Iwasto.
Thank you for sharing.
Perfect. Oh, may I add? Sorry, I forgot. Sorry, may I add?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, just very briefly. We're also doing a lot of this for another project. We're doing a lot of plastic field surveys. Right now we're in Pasig. We'll try to compute how much plastic loading we have on Manila Bay, and also looking at the microplastics part. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And Serena, quickly, how about on your end? What wonderful projects are you working on? I know you're working on 1,000 of them, so pick the one that touches your heart the most.
Oh, it's everything. Wow. Okay. For WWF, we're actually pushing for the umbrella initiative of No Plastics in Nature initiative. So this is actually a global initiative or like program of the entire WWF network. So we adopted it in the Philippines, and so we have a lot of projects under this initiative. So we have the Plastic Smart Cities project. We're actually in 5 Plastic Smart City sites right now. We have Donsol. You've been to Donsol, Robinson. And then also Igacos, and then San Isidro, Davao City, and also Manila City. So these are the project sites for this particular project. And we are actually expanding in the next few months. So pray for us. Okay. And then next one is, as we mentioned, we are also pushing for like policies. So we are pushing for a national support to the Global Treaty on Marine Plastic Pollution, because we see this as not just a problem in the Philippines, but of course, a transboundary problem and a global problem. So needing for a global solution. And we're also pushing for extended producer responsibility. We actually commissioned a study. Dr. Net is one of the consultants actually for that. And then the extended producer responsibility study tried to assess the applicability of this particular scheme in the Philippines. So basically, we're pushing for a financial scheme that will help us like better or improve our waste management system. And also for PAC, so like what I mentioned a while ago, we are pushing for different tools for engaging businesses so that they get to adopt like a circular model for their supply chain. And actually we have a lot of partners right now, actually including this one. It's just for awareness. So this is one of the partners. We have Burgels. I have a buff. I'm wearing one of the designs buff in partnership with Burgel. So these are some of the partners that we have under the Plastic Action. And then for Ayoko ng Plastic, of course, we are pushing for sparking conversation. So we actually have, and you already promoted this, the Viber group, so that people get to learn about the different programs of WWF Philippines. And we are actually at around 11,000 from our last check in the Viber group. And we also have, of course, a Facebook community page. And from this, we have a lot of like influencers. Of course, the best influencer would definitely the ang pinaka-host, Robinson Fernandez, who is actually celebrating his birthday today. Tama ba? So,
tomorrow, actually.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
Happy
advance.
birthday!
Yes. So
Thank
advance
you.
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Ang
Thank you so
pinaka-host.
much. Oh,
So,
thank
there.
you. I
Yay.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wonderful. Wow. Like, you caught me off guard with that one. That wasn't in the script. Oh my gosh. I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Okay, well, give yourselves a big round of applause. We just did 10 questions with follow-up. Woo! All right, now I'm going to have to get through this because my favorite part, of course, is the Q&A, which I promised we'd get to. So bear with me, everybody. Before we proceed to the next part, I'd like to invite everyone, please support WWF Philippines' fundraising campaign so we can support the lives of those who work tirelessly to support us, our families, and the environment. While we are currently experiencing very challenging times, we believe that by working together, we can all rise above this crisis. Flash now on your screen are our GCash QR codes, as well as bank account numbers where you can send your donation for our environmental frontliners. All right, there they go right there. Thank you again to our partners at BDO and BPI, our friends, our banking friends. And of course, to learn more about WWF Philippines and to find out how we can help, #change the ending for the planet, visit wwf.org.ph or simply visit our Facebook page and click the Learn More button to support our environmental frontliners and partner communities. Maraming salamat po. Moving on, again, Serena and Dr. Tanet, thank you so much. We can obviously talk for hours about this topic, but thank you for the bullet points of what's going on regarding plastic pollution and solutions. Now, again, thank you for the very, very informative presentations and, of course, the rich discussion. Since some of the things discussed by our dear speakers are pretty new for some of you, we're now opening the floor for questions from our audience. So, guys, if you have questions, feel free to write down in our comment section, which you have been doing. Thank you. All right. Question 1, I'll get straight to it. Can we return to the companies of shampoos and any other containers of liquid items to minimize the production of plastic containers? And the follow-up, what is your second question? Oh, I'll let you guys answer that one first, guys. Can we return the plastic products back to the manufacturers? What do you think?
I am muted pala. Okay. So go ahead. You want to start, Dr. Net?
I'm so
Sige,
Yes, the floor is open for either of you to
one,
take that.
yeah. For question one, right now in the Philippines, there's none. Except I remember before, can I mention the name? It's a UK-based company. They can have your packaging back. Can I say the name? Okay. Anyway, but for
Sure.
now, yeah, that was Body Shop.
Okay.
Before, yeah, they actually started, and if you notice, they also have very simple design. As I've said, coloring, labeling, adhesives, all of this make recycling very complicated. So the simpler it is, the better. No, designing the product simpler would help in recycling. But right now, the companies are not compelled to take them back. But as Zarina explained already, the extended producer's responsibility would 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 require them to pay for the amount of plastic packaging that they produce, so that there is money for recycling, for collection of the recyclables. Yeah,
Yes, if
that's
I
how
may
they
add to
contribute.
that,
Yeah.
sorry, if I may add to that, there are actually some businesses that would get your the return. You can return your shampoo containers. One of them is Human Nature. I have actually tried that. You
Great.
can return your
Great.
Oh yeah.
their packaging to them. And actually, what's the Messy Bessie also accepts like
Mm.
the packaging that they have. And then I think this is the part wherein we also consider like the refillables, because you don't
Mhm.
need to return the containers because you will be refilling the same container. And
Yeah.
I will um make seeing it, this particular slide that I missed a while ago. So there are actually a lot of organizations that would accept certain types of waste that we generate. So like for example, this on the left side, it was created by Green Space. So nilagay niya na dyan lahat kung saan mo pwedeng dalhin yung mga plastics, e-waste, food waste mo. So it's really a very great infographic. And also we have another one from Plastics by Manila Automat. So they're also accepting number 5, 4, and 2. But for that, we also need to practice waste segregation. So you know.
Wonderful. Now, I'd like to just add, we're all smart consumers. Let's be smart consumers by reading the labels and understanding what's good for us and what we need in our body. Do your research. It's out there. It's available. And more importantly, patronize the brands that you just said, the Messy Bessies, oh my gosh, you mentioned 3. The
Human Nature.
Human Nature.
Human Nature, yes. Companies that are mindful, companies that are taking the extra effort into lessening their carbon footprint. So with that being said, let's now move on to the second question. Can you give a simple explanation of EPR, which is extended producer's responsibility, and are there companies practicing this now in the Philippines? Go ahead and take the floor to whoever would like that.
So most likely, Dr. Net will pass this on to me about EPR.
Thank
So
you.
WWF, so as I mentioned, WWF commissioned a study to assess if EPR is applicable in the Philippine setting, because this is actually a concept that is internationally known. So it's usually applicable in mostly sa mga Western countries. So what it does is that simple explanation. Okay. Okay, simple explanation is that the companies or the producers, this would include like the plastic manufacturers, this would include the multinational companies. So the producers will pay a certain fee for every plastic product they put into the market. And so these fees will go into a system operator, an organization that would facilitate or would ensure that waste management is implemented in the entire Philippines. So this can be like they can work with a lot of waste management operators so that we ensure that no plastics goes into our nature. So hopefully that's
Excellent.
simple enough. So yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Serena. Dr. Tanet, thank you so much. And of course, to our listeners and viewers out there for your questions and comments. We truly appreciate them. Again, before we wrap up the show, we'd like to invite everyone to support WWF Philippines' fundraising campaigns for the environment and, of course, for our beautiful frontliners. In these challenging times, let us help the people who work tirelessly to ensure that we are well fed and that wildlife and their habitats are protected. Flashing now on your screen is our GCash QR code and bank accounts where you can send in your donations. Needless to say, you know, with the pandemic and the times that are going on, their regular salary hasn't been coming in. So it's very difficult for them. When they're not working, of course, our environment also suffers. So we need them to continue to be the stewards and to continue to be employed. And we just have to support them as much as we can. So here are our lovely friends from the banking community, and there they are. And I believe you can find this information also on our Facebook page as well. So we'll also be posting a link to a post-assessment survey on the event page of today's Panda Talks webisode. So after the show, please help the team know how we can provide a better learning experience for everyone through Panda Talks. This is your show. We need to know how we can make it better for you guys. That concludes the 8th webisode of Panda Talks. Yay! Congratulations, everybody. Dr. Tanet, thank you so much. Serena, you guys are amazing. Thank you for your charts and graphs. We hope we inspired you to live sustainably and to apply the new learnings we got from today's show in your daily lives and your future plans. Stay tuned on WWF Philippines' official social media pages for announcements on the next Panda Talks webisodes. Ako po si Revilson Fernandez, WWF Philippines National Ambassador, now signing off. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Ayoko ng plastic. Woo!